Welcome to a new era of wrestling podcasts, where the hot takes, fantasy booking, nostalgic trips, and everything that happens in your day-to-day life always comes back to the squared circle. It's the Everything is Pro Wrestling podcast with Mike DeSilva, Josh Flanagan, and Nick Flanagan.
And we are back. Episode 30, 3-0, boys.
3-0.
Damn, 30 episodes. I mean, shout out to us, right?
Yeah,
I guess.
pretty good.
It's
over half a year. It's pretty good.
I'm
proud of 30. Yeah.
It's crazy because this room is sort of like the room of requirement from Harry Potter. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Harry Potter much.
A little bit.
Is it? Well, yes, because, well, at least for me it is. Because basically it's turned into everything that I've needed it to become over these last however many months we've been doing the show, 7-8 months now.
Yeah.
Because it started as like, okay, I have really no other room in my house, so let's record in here. And then it became, I lost my job. It's now my office. And now it's like, I also DJ on the side. I need somewhere to also practice some sets. Equipment. And, well, I can't do it anywhere else because I have a 4-month baby. So it's now become my DJ room. And it's still the podcast room. So if we're playing what we call a little video, it used to be video magic here, where it looks like this room is a lot bigger than it actually is.
I'm actually on Nick's lap right now.
Pretty much.
Really
I don't know if you can tell.
Flanny has to go full wide eagle.
He's going full Tom
wide
Cruise.
open.
Which is fitting for the interview that we did today.
That is very true.
Because we have a fun interview. Anthony Bowens of The Acclaimed.
Yes. Shout out to Anthony Bowens, man. That was fun.
That was a ton of fun. That interview is up now, getting ready for his big match at Full Gear this weekend. But man, fellas, episode 30 feels good.
Yeah.
Go ahead, do the honors. 30.
Where are we going, Steph?
No, come on.
I mean, it's Griffey again.
Okay.
Well, yes.
No, I will not allow that. I will not allow that.
I mean, he wore 30.
No way.
No, Reds Griffey doesn't count.
Now, don't get me wrong. The cutoff sleeves, white pinstripe jerseys are fucking gorgeous.
It's really, it's Martin Brodeur.
Thank you. You're wearing the Devil's sweater today.
Marty Brodeur is I will give it to Marty Brodeur.
And Ken Griffey Jr.
Although
that I will give you. I will give you, Steph. Also, I'm very disappointed in myself that I forgot Earl Thomas wore 29 last week. I was a big fan of Earl Thomas when he was both in college at Texas and a Seahawk. So I'm disappointed I forgot that one.
Earl Thomas. He wanted to be a Cowboy at one point in his career, and they never made it happen.
Nope.
And then I think he got hurt in Dallas when he played for...
Yeah, when he played for Seattle.
Seattle, I think he got hurt in Dallas. But yeah, so the Marty Brodeur Griffey past his prime episode.
Yeah. I'm sticking with Marty Brodeur.
Yeah, that's fair.
Nothing respect for him. I know. I'm not mad at it. On the interview, we did discuss, and Anthony Bowens did confirm that Barry Lamar Bonds is the greatest baseball player of all time. All right. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I wasn't. You'll see later on. I wasn't here for that interview, so to me that didn't happen.
So it doesn't count.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Is
count.
what you're telling me.
Right. It's null and void. Yes, I will see it later, but I'll be like, that Mike fixed. That's CGI.
We'll have to get Griffey on one of these days to confirm.
Love that.
I don't think we're getting Barry Bonds on.
No, we're not.
We might be able to get Ken Griffey Jr.
I think
on
we
here.
could.
Honestly.
Maybe.
I think we're capable of that.
We throw him like a Grubhub gift card or something.
I mean, let's be real. Griffey seems like a nicer person than Barry Bonds.
Yes. Absolutely.
Regardless of how you feel about him as a player. And I don't even think Barry Bonds
would dispute that.
Exactly, yeah.
I think it's just
I don't know. I feel like, was Barry Bonds a likable hitting coach? I mean, he was a hitting coach, down in the Marlins for a while?
He was at the Marlins for a while. I don't know, likable? I don't know. I mean, again, greatest baseball player of all time, probably not the nicest guy in the world.
Right.
And again, I think he will
tell
you
know
this.
what?
Jeff Kent will definitely tell you that.
But you know what?
Yeah.
Babe Ruth beat the shit out of women, and people call him the greatest baseball player of all time, too. So it's like...
Shout out to women.
Shout out to women. Yeah,
don't
do that.
Women.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was early 1900s. That was not to make it say it was okay, but I feel like anybody we liked from that time was probably doing some really bad shit.
Very problematic.
Yeah. They also... Yeah, never mind.
We're
not gonna get into the weeds.
I'm just saying, Babe Ruth also a piece of shit, but also weirdly considered greatest baseball player of all time. It's like a thing. Like, do you want to be the greatest baseball player of all time? You got to be a piece of shit.
Yeah,
apparently.
I have a feeling that Babe Ruth would not be able to hit a baseball today.
Oh, absolutely.
No, absolutely.
I don't have a feeling that
it's historians that call him the greatest of all time.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah.
If he played today, he'd be like an average player, probably.
Yes.
It's like shout out to the legendary Big Stress. Anytime we'd argue basketball, he's a big LeBron guy. I'm a big Jordan guy. I remember one time we were talking. We got
Big Stress even more now.
Yeah, we got into a discussion about Bill Russell or something, and Bill Russell, legend, obviously, ton of championships. He always said, well, he was playing against podiatrists. So I was like, that's fair.
I love that he went away from plumbers. And
No,
went
he went
podiatrists. I respect that. I
podiatrists.
like
Yeah,
that. I
foot
like
straight
that.
up foot doctors. And I
Wouldn't
was
they
like,
be better at basketball than
respect.
plumbers?
I'm thinking,
They know footwork.
Good foot.
That's
yeah,
a good point. They do know footwork.
Right.
I
think
just
if anything, that elevates Bill Russell now.
that's a good point. Bill Russell, how much did he know about feet?
Exactly, right? And he dominated all of them.
Listen, man, and one thing I've learned in watching sports my entire life, all rings are not created equal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, we can all agree on that.
Yes.
You know,
We
Bill
can agree
Russell's
on that.
rings look a little different than maybe Robert Ory's rings, and look a little
Yes.
different than whoever else's rings out
Right.
there, right? Like you look at LeBron's rings and Kobe's rings, they might look a little different. Like, yeah, all rings, especially when we're talking football.
Yeah.
Yeah, all rings are not created
Yeah.
equal, nor is it on any one person. Certainly in a sport like football or baseball, basketball is somewhat of the outlier where one person can carry a team and be able to get a ring.
Yeah.
That just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That's the case Dan Marino will probably have more than Tom Brady.
Yeah, absolutely. Or he'd at least have one.
Yeah, at least
Like,
one.
That's the thing. If that was the case, yeah, he'd have one at least.
Yeah, Tony Romo would have had one too.
Sure.
All right, so this week in wrestling,
Wait, we can talk Cowboys if you want.
No.
We can
We're
talk
not
the
talking Cowboys.
Let's just try to blow past this comment.
Mike is on record on his own podcast. Maybe we get Mike on here. Maybe you and him can have a real come to Jesus moment. I don't know, because he thinks the Cowboys are still a good team.
Well,
Here's the thing. I do think they're a good
They've given up.
team. That's the
they
thing.
gave up on Mike
they're
McCarthy.
poorly managed.
Yeah,
They did.
this team
And
has
I don't know
become
that I
full
blame
on.
them.
No.
Because of all the
Right.
nonsense around them.
Here's the issue with then I'm not going to talk about the Cowboys for the rest of the season. Okay, this is it. This is the last Cowboys take that I have.
You mean
We'll
still
see.
episode 31?
Exactly right. Exactly.
Shout out to Roy Williams.
Yes. Shout out to Roy Williams.
The Cowboys,
Both of them.
have been
All three of them. Wide receiver, D-back, and coach.
Yeah.
That's right for the North Carolina Tar Heels. At one point, both the wide receiver and the free safety or strong safety were on the team at the same time.
Yep. That was fun.
That was anyways, again, Jerry Jones. The problem is and always will be
Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones
Right.
when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys because of his need to constantly inject himself into the conversation, to always make poor business decisions for hiring coaches that he can control, even though they've shown time and time again. Like, yes, they showed the stat yesterday where Mike McCarthy's first season was not great. Then he had 3 12-5 seasons in a row, lost in the first. Well, I think they won one playoff game. And it's like, okay, but you realize that the best coaches can take a team with that much talent and get them to the next level, and it's all about discipline.
Right.
When you're the most penalized team in the league every year, when you decide you're going to give all of your top guys all of the money, so then when your offensive line needs to be paid, or people on your secondary needs to be paid, and then they're not, or your defensive line, so now you can't pressure the freaking football unless it's Micah Parsons. You don't have a running back because you paid him and then sent his ass packing, and now he's back doing absolutely nothing.
25
and
pounds
then
heavier.
you paid your one wide receiver and traded the other one away, Mari Cooper, who still would have been productive with this team. It's really hard to just look at this team and say, oh, you know what? They're not talented. There's talent there. They're just mismanaged. They've been mismanaged for 30 fucking years, and it's not going to change. And I'm sick of being a Cowboys fan. Thank God, my dynasty football team. We are 11-0, fellas.
No
That's
Cowboys
good.
on your roster.
I do not have any Cowboys on my
Smart
roster.
man.
That should tell you all you need to know.
CD, for fantasy purposes, CD is good.
100%.
But outside of that,
Right.
100%. And if you're in one of those weird ass leagues where you have defensive players, Micah Parsons
yes,
would work
yeah.
too.
No, I don't. We're 11-0 in dynasty. We clinched the bye. Okay, so I don't give a fuck about football until week 16 now at this point.
You forgot the
respect it.
biggest internet talking point about why the Cowboys suck, though. It's Dak Prescott's fault.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I don't
On
have
the crutches up in the booth. It's his fault.
Right? Yeah, it's his fault. He
There-
gave up on the team.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys knew that.
There isn't enough
gave
time
up on the
to
team.
talk about.
There's not.
Dak Prescott.
And I think in a perfect way to put a bow on the everything. I'm now coining this the everything segment. Of
Yeah.
the everything is pro
I like
wrestling
that,
I
yeah.
like that.
To put a bow on this, Jerry Jones, Babe Ruth, both problematic in an era where photos were only black and white.
That's
facts.
a great point.
Yep, very true. And that should be another red flag. Homeboy's been around a long time.
Yeah.
All right. He has a lot of money. People with a lot of money for the last 60 years.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
That's pretty. That's the scale. Like a lot of money. How long you been around?
Yeah.
Right.
Probably problematic.
So probably a little bit problematic, and also sounds a little crazy. It's getting sad. It's honestly getting kind of sad. I don't feel bad for him in any way, shape, or form. But these radio interviews are getting
Yeah.
borderline fucking pathetic.
Yeah. It's also, I think still my favorite quote is when somebody asked him if he was going to put curtains up.
Oh, yeah.
And his answer was like, we know where the sun is. It's
Yeah.
like, why the fuck did you build the stadium that way then? The sun has
It
been
kills
rising
me.
and setting
I know.
for millions
Forever?
of years. That stadium has been there for like, what, 15?
15
maybe?
years.
And then you have
15
someone
years.
like Buffalo who's building a stadium right next door to theirs and purposely flipped it
Yeah.
so that the wind doesn't fucking wreak
Exactly.
havoc.
MetLife could have learned from that.
Yeah, they
Yes,
certainly
they could've.
Because that place
That's
sucks.
It's a wind tunnel.
Yeah.
It's just a wind tunnel.
WrestleMania 2019. What one was that?
35.
35.
Yep.
Yeah, 35. That sucked. I was getting
bet.
blasted by wind the whole time. It was
And
awful.
when you're up there too, it's like
Yeah, we were literally right behind the field goal post, like where one of the end zones, and it was brutal. It was absolutely brutal.
And now they're going to get SummerSlam in next year.
Well, at least it's a
It's
summertime.
summer. Yeah, smart.
I'll take it in the summertime.
Smartly pivoted
I've
there.
been there for games, and they've been fine. I went to a concert, saw Jay-Z. No, that wasn't MetLife. That was Yankee Stadium.
Yep.
Oh, I see at MetLife. I saw somebody. But yes, this is the everything segment. I like
Yeah,
that.
I like that.
We'll
That's
make
a
it the
solid name
everything.
for it.
Checks out.
Yeah.
Is there anything we're missing now that this is everything?
Well, I mean, if we really want to continue on to this, we just talked about a couple nice venues. We can talk about the venue of the first Raw on Netflix,
Does that
January
count
6th.
as everything?
Well, it's going to count as everything in
Oh,
a
yes,
second
yes.
when we
True.
talk about who was given the Hardcore Championship
I
this
think that
past
was the
weekend
funnest story of the
at
week.
Complex
Yeah.
Con, a.k.a. Travis Scott, Cactus Con, whatever
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. So I think that's going to be cool. I'm very excited to see, and I know we touched a little bit about this on social media. If you're not following us on Instagram, be sure to follow EIPW Podcast on IG and interact with us. Mike did a really cool video about this where
Yeah.
you can hear a little bit more about the nuance. But essentially, the Hardcore title is back. I love the way it looks. I
It
think
looks
they,
so awesome.
very
Sick.
like
Yeah.
obviously it was a perfect mix up of keeping it exactly what it was, but just modernizing it with the
Right.
belts that we have now,
Yeah.
which can always be appreciated.
Also, the strap looks a little bit
Yes.
different,
Yeah,
which
it
is like a
does.
nice, like almost like burgundy-ish.
Yep.
It almost kind of looks
Yeah,
similar to your
it is.
sweatshirt.
It's
Yeah,
like-
it's
like
kind of
like
like a dark
cardinal,
blood,
like
Yeah.
like
a
a dry
garnet.
blood.
As
Yeah.
a Florida State fan, I would call it garnet. But yeah, no, I like that. It's like it just leans into maybe the blood of what you
Right,
think for hardcore. So I think that checks out. So yeah, presented to Travis Scott as the new hardcore champion, and he will be appearing in that first Raw. I'm also excited. The Intuit Dome for the first time,
Yeah.
right? We saw where the Clippers' new home.
It looks so sick.
The setup is insane. It's so modernized and futuristic. Obviously, Steve Ballmer being behind it makes so much sense. So I'm excited to see not only what Travis is going to do when he gets to Monday Night Raw that day. Is he going to compete? Is he going to be in the ring? Does he drop the belt? Does he keep the belt? What happens?
Probably
But then
performs.
also, I'm excited overall to see just what the venue looks like and how they lean into those aspects of the venue itself to make the product and the show look even cooler.
Well, you got to think about how much of this. I mean, I know this is the Clippers and Ballmer. It's not necessarily WWE, but I'm sure going into an arena like that where you can be a little bit more, I don't know, creative. I wonder how much of the Thunderdome comes into play when you think about just like the visual aspect of it. Now, you're not going to put digital people in there,
right.
but like just kind of that like digital surrounding. They love their LEDs. Right, this is fucking everywhere. They're on
Their augmented reality.
They love their augmented reality, which I'm glad they've kind of gotten away from a little bit. Yeah,
Especially
See that
those
Roman
sucked.
Reigns
the Roman
one?
Reigns was
That thing
brutal.
creepy
The
as
worst
fuck.
That one looked like it was made in like the year 2000.
Yeah.
It looks like
nasty.
I made it.
Yeah, in the year 2000.
In the year 2000, yeah.
On your Etch-a-Sketch.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, or like those old Mac computers that have like the lime green back.
Yes.
That's kind of what it looked like. But yes, January 6th is the first, my mom's birthday, and also
shout out to mom.
sucks
to
at
Mom.
that whatever.
I know. Goddamn.
Just
We want to talk about the other.
my mother, who is a saint,
Yes.
has to share that day, but whatever. Anyways,
Well, hey, we know she wasn't there because Chris Jericho confirmed
that is
Right.
exactly. That my mom wasn't there.
that she wasn't there. He confirmed because he was there.
Right.
So.
Oh. January 6th.
I think-
first Raw on Netflix. It was announced it's going to be on January 6th and Intuit Dome, and we got the passing of the brand new Hardcore Championship. Now, we didn't really get much details on it.
No.
We
Well,
don't-
that's my thing. Is it like an official thing?
That's
I thought
what
it
I'm
was just like a
Like a commemorative
Like,
type
yeah,
of thing. It's
because-
like, you're a big fan of ours. We're a big fan
Right.
of yours. We want to give you
And
this at a
also,
concert.
now-
I think it's more.
I'll be
I think it's
I'll be
more
the
than
first to admit I know jack shit about Travis Scott, but isn't his record
fine.
company called like Cactus Jack Records
Yes.
or something
Yeah,
like
that's
that? So like
his
it
brand.
ties into
Yeah.
like the Cactus Jack,
Yep.
the hardcore legend type of thing.
Yeah,
I didn't
and
know
he's
it was
not
just like a
shied away
commemorative thing.
from the wrestling aspect and
Right.
being there. Obviously, he's been there as a fan. I think even recently, within the last month or two, he was at a show. I
he
can't
at Bad
remember
Blood?
which one. He might
No.
have been.
Oh, yeah, he was at Bad
Blood.
Yeah, he was at
There were,
Bad
like,
Blood.
A lot
so
of them
many
were at
hip-hop
Bad
artists
Blood.
there.
Yeah,
Killer
well, they
Mike
were
was
in
there.
Atlanta, so
Right.
yeah.
We know there were so many folks there, but yeah, I think This makes so much sense, and like you touched upon it in the video again, Mike. It makes so much sense when you think of like the folks like that are cut from a similar cloth of Bad Bunny, Cactus Jack. Travis Scott is exactly that same cloth in terms of an artist who you can tell as a kid and growing up had an affinity for wrestling and was a wrestling fan first and foremost before anything else.
Yeah, and so it's interesting because we don't know if this is like the return of the Hardcore Championship and he's the first Hardcore champion, right? There was no specification there, but knowing the whole history of the Hardcore Championship and how it's basically the 24/7 belt, hardcore matches, anywhere, anytime. Travis Scott, if you've ever been to one of his shows, he is insane. The crowd the energy is what he feeds off of.
Very much a hardcore match.
It's yes. Very much a hardcore match. A lot of fire, a lot of pyro. He loves his pyro. And Cactus Jack connection obviously makes a ton of sense. Now,
Mike, you would know this. Did he? I feel like he actually had Mick Foley in one of his Cactus Track releases in recent years, where Mick was actually wearing it was like the clothing brand. He comes out with his sneakers, his Travis Scott Jordans, but he had the clothing line. And I could be wrong. We'll have to fact check this, but I think he actually had Mick in the campaign for one of them recently.
Did he also come out with the flannel?
Probably.
That would have been dope.
Probably.
That would have been perfect.
I'll have
And
to double check that.
Like a Santa
but I
suit?
think
Right,
he actually got Mick involved in the campaign once.
That'd be cool.
We'll have to confirm. We'll fact check that. I wish we had an I team. Well, when we get more room for one more person, we'll get an I team and a video guy. Because
they'll be both.
There's been errors on my behalf.
They can only be Hornswoggle size, but
at the moment they can.
We can only hire one Hornswoggle. Yeah. But yes,
what do you guys think he's doing right now? Maybe
we saw him at Wale Mania.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of cool things, man.
Yeah, he's chilling. Dylan.
I mean, I know he does
Shout
a
out
lot
to
of
Dylan,
stuff
man.
with
He's a good
Matt
dude.
Cardona's podcast.
Yeah, Dylan's a good dude, man. I've got to chop it up with him a couple times, and
he's got great stories, man.
Yeah, and he's just good vibes. Like, he's just a good dude overall.
He seems like just a super down to earth,
just
guy.
to chill with. Yeah,
100%.
so maybe we got to get him on the show. I'll hit him up.
Like it.
Yeah, he might be down.
I more meant to see if he wanted to be like our I team.
Yeah, that's what I think. Like you said,
yeah, we might.
He's the only one that would fit in here at the moment, which is 100% accurate.
Yeah. But he could probably, he's strong. He could probably fucking toss my ass out this damn room.
I bet he could bench me.
That'd be tough.
I don't know.
Thanks.
No disrespect. No disrespect. I don't know.
Let's put it to the test. I really was hoping when you guys went there so I could do that.
No disrespect. I'm just saying. Anyways, let's move on. So, what was I talking about? Oh, we were talking about Travis Scott.
Yes.
So now Triple H hands him this Hardcore Championship. They can go so many different ways with it. Could it be just a commemorative thing?
Yeah.
I don't think.
I get the feeling no.
I don't think so. Like, I don't think he would make the effort to make it known that it's the Hardcore Championship and then they just don't do anything with it. So my guess is that Netflix, being the new home for WWE Raw, I think that that's going to open up some opportunity to do some cool shit with the Hardcore Championship.
Possibly.
The 24/7 belt was an absolute flop.
Yes.
Right? It became the R-Truth belt. He won it how many? 57 times? Something like that.
Yeah.
Carmella, all that stuff.
It was like him and, what was his WWE name? Rockstar Spud.
Oof. Oh, yeah.
Those two were the only two that carried that title.
Yeah.
Those two were great together.
They were great. Yes, they had like the matches where he was like popping champagne in the hotel with his wife and all that stuff.
Can confirm. Mick Foley.
There you go.
In a Cactus Jack campaign. So this is for his Nike Air Max 270s a couple of years ago. I want to say 2022. Yeah, so Mick was in all of the promo material.
That's
really
awesome.
Cool.
I mean, it makes sense.
It makes sense.
That's,
it makes
that's
so
Cactus
much fucking
Jack.
sense. I love it.
So yeah, maybe Travis Scott is the person to come out on Raw January 6th. I know that he's doing the theme for Raw is a Travis Scott song, and maybe this is going to be their way of like introducing it, and he shows up. I don't know if he hands it over to somebody or if he actually has like some type of interaction physically with the wrestler.
Somebody pins him or something?
Somebody pins him, or maybe he introduces. Is there a hardcore legend that could be coming back that he could be like, you know what? I can't really do anything with this belt, but I know somebody who can type shit. And then I don't know who it would be. Like, I don't know who's a hardcore.
Bob Holly doing these days.
Oh God, I think he's banned from WWE.
Maybe.
He's
Just give me the title, have me beat everybody.
Yeah.
Maybe this is JBL's return. Maybe this is his way of getting back involved.
He's been some tea leaves with
he's
JBL.
He's been teasing some stuff. Yeah. But I think that
shout out to Joe Briscoe.
Yeah.
I don't know. It could very easily just be like, hey, here's this. You're doing our Raw song. You're going to be at the first Raw on Netflix.
My guess is he's probably going to open the show
with the live
performing the new song. Yeah.
Yep.
Like
I think
my guess is that's how the January 6th Raw is going to open, is him performing the new theme song, whatever it is.
But we've been talking about the hardcore belt for 20 years. You're going to bring it back just to give it to an artist to never.
Yeah.
The behind the scenes, like they showed the belt of him looking at it and like, damn, this is sick. This and that. Triple H is given to him on his his trailer out back or whatever. So yeah, it could just be a commemorative thing, but I don't know, man.
No, and I can see it go in a ton of different ways, right? Like, who knows? Maybe Travis Scott, similar to Bad Bunny, has been locked in a performance center somewhere, working his ass off, and he's going to somehow be in the ring, right? Because you figure if it's January, that could be a perfect lead into Mania, could be a perfect lead into Rumble, so it could be something where they tease it. I can see him performing, either having the belt on him or after the performance, walking to the ring and meeting Trips in the ring and having the belt there, an actual presentation, then someone music hits, they come out, there's a confrontation. Next thing you know, Travis Scott versus so-and-so for the belt, if they do want to go that far. But I could also see it as simple as Travis performs, then goes to the ring, the belt's there, and he, hey, obviously I'm not a full-time wrestler, I appreciate this, but I'm going to put this up, and we're going to have a hardcore title tournament. It's going to kick off tonight, and it's going to culminate at Rumble or at something. Like, I think it could run the gamut in terms of the spectrum of what we could see.
It's possible.
So, but I have faith it's going to be done the right way, and I do think, again, Triple H being Triple H, I do think he understands how important and how much of a pop culture phenomenon this belt is. So I think he's going to want to actually utilize it and try to push it as a strong title.
Right. Hopefully, though, if they do that, it doesn't just become the 24/7 title.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't want it to just be a rebranded 24/7 belt. Like, I want it to have we need some actual hardcore matches if we're going to do this. Listen, they've lifted the constraints a lot, man, especially in the past year.
Just the last year, and I think Netflix will allow them to lift even more constraints.
Exactly. Like,
discussed.
I know at the crux of it is the superstar's safety, right? Yep. That's pretty much why a lot of these things changed, and a lot of things that were results of these hardcore matches, unprotected chair shots to the head, painkillers. I know that that's something that they don't want to go back to. We're also in a much different time, different culture at WWE as a whole. We're like, okay, you're not necessarily taking unprotected chair shots, but we can do some crazy spots. We can have some blood. Okay, we can take some high risks and shit like that, especially with some of the production that hopefully is improved by Netflix after what we saw with Tyson and Jake Paul.
Yeah, I mean, Jada Parker smashed a brick over Lola Vice's head a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and that looked like the realest fucking brick I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. So that's also another thing, is like what they can do with the tables and how they can kind of gimmick some of these things. They're so much far and away ahead of where they were 20 years ago.
And that was also on network television.
Yes.
Right.
That wasn't even on a streaming service you have to pay for. That's an over-the-air
and in that match in general, they beat the hell out of one another. It was a great match. But that spot alone, when that brick crumbled, my wife was sitting there and she was like, is that a brick? Because it looked so real. So I think the way they can gimmick things compared to where we are before, they can do it right.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I think they can. And that gives me hope. It gives me hope that this could be a legitimate addition. I think the roster is deep enough, and that lower end card, I think, is missing a title, right? Because you have your U.S. champion, you have your IC champion, and then some of these other storylines, you add in the hardcore championship, with somebody silly like a Crash Holly, RIP. It could make for some fun interactions. Just make it better than the 24/7 title. Do not make it just 24/7 title 2. Please.
Or the speed title.
Although I will say, just to play devil's advocate, because more than I do want it. I do actually
devil's
want
advocate.
Devil's
advocate.
No, I didn't even pick up on that. Is it too many titles though? Then at that point, is it kind of the thing where
I don't think it's necessarily a prestigious one though. This is like one of the what's that UFC one, the BMF?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's like the BMF title.
Kind of like the what was Taz's title that we just retired?
The FTW.
The FTW.
Right.
So I think kind of similar, where they acknowledge that as a title, but I didn't.
Right.
But I also think
I do think that helped diminish a lot of AEW's titles.
Yeah.
I think AEW had too many titles where besides the world title and maybe the women's champion, and even that's now kind of gotten muddied.
Yeah.
Nobody felt like a champion. It was just it's a guy with a belt.
Yeah.
And I just wonder if you introduce a hardcore title, does WWE? I don't know. Maybe they don't. I don't know. I'm genuinely
because I just think it's a different perspective. Cody Rhodes isn't going to aspire to be the hardcore champion.
Absolutely.
So this is for the undercard or the lower end of the card where they're like, hey, I'm a bad motherfucker and I want to make a name for myself. I'm the hardcore champion.
Right.
Maybe I'm not the U.S. champion or whatever, but I'm tough.
Thinking, I'm thinking, and maybe this isn't the right person, but I think of someone like a Dom, who like it doesn't really, he's not a hardcore wrestler, but it could be a good way to put a belt on him and like just add fuel to the fire of his gimmick.
Or people can change their gimmick.
It could be somewhere now he goes through this kind of undersea. So I'm thinking someone like that.
Hardcore Holly wasn't always hardcore Holly.
Someone who you can now prop up and use to benefit. And Dom may be a little bit past that with the matches he's in now, but I'm thinking again of some of those guys lower on the card who haven't really had an opportunity to show their personality, and maybe their natural personality is more of that hardcore vibe, and they've had to kind of subdue it a little bit. This could be their opportunity to really shine.
That hardcore roster in the when that 4-year run or whatever the belt existed was fun as hell.
Yeah, it was.
You know what I mean? Like you had like the Crash, you had Raven, you had who else in there? Obviously Hardcore Holly.
Had some of the women
Kane was in
involved
there. Some of the women
well.
were involved. But like it was a fun. Al Snow was always involved in the hardcore matches. So maybe is there people on the roster right now? I can't think off the top of my head that would fit that vibe. I think so, but I think it also gives you the opportunity to bring other people in.
Yeah.
And just really hype up this like raw, no pun intended, aspect of wrestling that they've been leaning into with the blood, the Hell in a Cells. We saw a pile driver, not too long ago. So they're trusting their superstars more and more to do this shit safely.
Oh yeah.
So now is it like, okay, fuck it, let's bring the hardcore belt back.
My biggest concern isn't that like people would be unsafe with it. The talent would absolutely flourish with that. I just wonder, is it one too many at that point? That's my only thing.
I mean, it's an interesting take. I'm sure you won't be the only one thinking that, but regardless, it's a super cool moment. And again, it's just WWE on the pulse of pop culture, which we couldn't say for 20 years. They felt like they were bringing all these C+ people. Now you're getting top of the top. Like you cannot get bigger than the people that they've been associating with. And they've really leaned into the hip hop scene, which makes a ton of sense because of how big hip hop is in pop culture in general.
And I think they low-key stole the show at Complex Con this past week.
Definitely. That's all I've seen from it.
That's all I've seen is just the interviews with Peter Rosenberg, that stuff with Triple H and Cactus Jack. Like, they low-key stole the show. And, like, Complex Con is huge. It's, like, the biggest thing in the world in terms of pop culture and fashion and music and all these different things. And, like, they might have stole the show. So if that is all they accomplished, it's a win.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I highly doubt that it was that short-sighted of an approach. But even if it was, they won.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I say what I'm about to say next with all due respect to the man, because I loved him, especially when I was homesick from school, but they've come a long way from Bob Barker being the guest host.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And God, whoever Freddie Prinze Jr., even though he was on the staff, just a ton of
they
really
did get
bad.
they got
Snooki.
Hugh Jackman once, so like they did get stars, but like they were few and far between back then.
Yeah.
And even then it would be like, oh, he was promoting a movie.
Exactly.
So like it's not like he was there because he's a fan. He's there
because
run. You need to promote something.
It's in a good place. It's in a really good place, and that's exciting. It's exciting for these next couple months. Monday night we had a pre-taped Raw, which now we could. Last week when we recorded, it had already been taped. There were some spoilers out there. The return of Rhea Ripley, very quickly with the mask. Rhea Rip Hamilton, was that? Somebody said that the other day.
I like it.
I saw that on Twitter. Maybe I sorry if I'm stealing that from somebody, but yeah.
That also, though, ties into the story we talked about last week of them potentially putting out fake reports to because all the reports were she's out till at least the Rumble,
right?
If not later.
Oh, so you think?
So it's possible like they said she's not going to come back till the Rumble. Then all of a sudden it's like fuck you. We lied.
So they found the snakes. Yeah,
exactly.
They're finding the snakes.
Maybe we
don't. And that shot,
we don't know.
The shot to live was like
yeah.
That was legit. Like this, like I have a hard time thinking that injury was that serious, and she's getting in and doing that.
Yeah.
Like I loved it. Like just War Games, boom.
Also, was she wearing like makeup under the mask? Because I swear to God, she looked genuinely like the Crow.
So I saw,
especially with what she was wearing.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh, that's the Crow.
The image that I saw, the spoiled image that I saw a week ago, was her standing, after in her. It was all black and blue and red, and it looked wild on that one. But then when I saw it, live on not live, but taped on Raw, it didn't look as dramatic as that, but it still looked
her face just looked really pale.
Yeah,
that's what made me think the Crow. Like she was so pale.
Yeah, I think it was just the dichotomy of like her just natural skin tone compared to like the black and blue.
Sure.
In that close up image I saw was like, whoa, it was wild, and that's what had me thinking like, damn, this injury is pretty bad.
Right.
But if she's back, obviously they're not going to risk it so much. Just look
especially not going to put her in War Games.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Which pretty much confirms what we're getting on the women's side for War Games now.
Well, yes, and she literally said it, and then
it was well done.
Do you think this is going to be done after War Games, or like how does the Rhea and Liv thing?
Probably not. I think they're probably going to push that to Mania. Because who else do you have challenge?
No, I know.
Like
I was hoping that War Games was going to be a transition to something else. It doesn't feel like it though.
I think it's kind of run its course for me. I think honestly, after the last pay-per-view, the last PLE, the way it ended, I thought, okay, that's it. Like, let's ride off into the sunset. But I wonder if it's the folks who are there waiting to return or wanting to return aren't ready yet. So they're like, well, we kind of know what we have here. We know the chemistry and what it's going to look like. But yeah, honestly, if all things were equal, I would love to see both of them move on.
I see one of two things happening. Either they hold off till Mania, Rhea wins the Women's Rumble and they do that, or that's the first Raw on Netflix and Rhea wins the title back there. And then maybe that's where it finally ends.
Because I think they're going to do Brock Lesnar.
Exactly. They're going to do big stuff on that first Raw.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
I think there's going to be some belts changing.
Yep. There's going to be belts changing.
It's going to be like it's going to be like the start of a new season basically, and you're going right into Mania season. So that's where your storylines are going to begin. I don't even think we wait till Rumble. Like, I think you're planting your seeds right there. On that first Raw.
I originally thought they were going to make a real big deal of Saturday night's main event and give that a lot of high-profile matches. I don't think they are. I think they're going to save most of those for 2, 3, whenever it is, 3 weeks later for the first Raw. Which also, there's a rumor that the second Saturday night's main event is going to be the Saturday before the Rumble.
So like the week late before. January or whatever?
Yeah, which I don't like that.
Are they both in the Garden?
The Saturday nights.
Saturday night main event was in the Garden?
The first one is in Long Island.
Oh, Long Island. That's right. The Coliseum.
And the second one, they haven't announced the venue yet. They just said, and this isn't an official date. This is just the speculated date, which, again, could then also tie into the fake rumors thing.
Yeah.
If that ends up not being true.
No, because I agree. Like, having that so close, it's like, how do you not put the big storylines and the big pops on Saturday night main event as opposed to holding it? But then again, how do you do that and then leave Rumble to not have the pops that it would have?
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting. Even I mean, again, to your point of even having Saturday night main events so close to that debut on Netflix, they're gonna have to be creative in how they book it and make sure it's a good opportunity to get everybody an opportunity, but also, to not spoil some things.
I think it's gonna end up being very SmackDown storyline heavy, because a lot of SmackDown people, maybe Cody and Roman will show up on the first Raw.
SmackDown stuff is completely bled over to Raw at this point.
Right, and they're already blending those two shows again.
Exactly.
I don't know why. I mean, it's so funny to me whenever they do it, because it's like, it ends up being a blend within a year or less anyways.
I know.
So it's like, why? I don't know.
That's why, and I know I'm in the vast minority on this, but that's why I keep saying, like, give us brand exclusive pay-per-views.
Yeah.
It'll make this brand split feel like an actual split.
And you can build stories for a long time, yeah.
And it will also give attention to things that haven't gotten attention, like AKA the tag teams.
Especially with Triple H loving his 5-match PLEs.
Right, exactly.
I mean, it's going to make things difficult to continue to squeeze both show. Dude, I think that'd be sick. A bi-monthly show PLE.
Yeah.
You can go all out and like really go all in on the storylines and slow build and all that shit. I think that's kind of what's missing.
And I wouldn't do this, but now that you have 2-night events for the big shows, you could then do like WrestleMania Raw, WrestleMania SmackDown, SummerSlam Raw, SummerSlam SmackDown. I wouldn't do that. I would still intermingle them on the card, but you could if you wanted to.
You could also even do Raw versus SmackDown cards,
right?
Where like it's only a Raw versus a SmackDown throughout the whole card for a big PLE like that too. You know, and kind of bring back in. We know they're going more traditional sports themes, so it could be something literally where it's like a best of 7 Raw versus SmackDown, and see who is the better brand.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting what they do once this Netflix thing happens, because Netflix is going to want the stars.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. I've heard Cody and Roman are going back to Raw when they do the draft again, which will be post-Mania.
Yeah, that will make a lot of sense, because you can imagine that's part of it.
Punk's probably going to stay there.
Yeah. That's going to be heavy. But you know what?
Maybe like McIntyre moves to SmackDown, because you can't.
You need one.
You got
to have one of the big, kind of those pillars there.
Right.
You have to establish.
So I could see like a McIntyre, maybe a Gunther,
or I could see saying a SmackDown, because Kevin Owens still has the cachet. Kevin Owens still have the cachet, but not like money-making guys like these dudes. Like all the dudes you just mentioned are making them a ton of money.
Yeah, because you can do that where you have those established stars, then you can have some of those young stars like a Carmelo, like a Braun Breaker, and then you can build up that kind of mid-card roster as well.
Like SmackDown was in 2016.
Yeah, exactly.
With Dean Ambrose and AJ Styles, and that was
or
SmackDown.
Like it was in 2002 when they first did the brand split.
Yeah, exactly.
When you had the SmackDown 6.
SmackDown, Rey Mysterio,
Rey Mysterio, Eddie. No, it was Rey, Eddie, Angle, Name Redacted, Edge, Christian.
Oh, okay.
No, sorry, it wasn't Christian. It was a Chavo.
Chavo.
So it's Ray, Eddie, Chavo, Angle, Name Redacted, Edge were the SmackDown 6.
Yeah, and then you just put like we said, a couple of those veterans on there to still sell whatever.
Just for name value to it. AJ Styles can stay on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah, if you bring any NXT guys up, you can put them there, position them well.
And you also free up one of those titles, the world titles. Yeah. So now you can put, an AJ Styles can have a chance. Because right now, is he going to dethrone Gunther? Is he going to dethrone Cody? No.
Right.
But if you now have all those heavy hitters in one show, that makes that one belt super difficult to get, and then you're able to do more with guys that might not get a look. You could put the WWE Championship on Raw, flop it, and put the World Heavyweight,
which I definitely think is what's going to happen. I think the two world
because they want that brand.
Exactly.
They want the branded belt on that show. Which Netflix paid $5 billion, so
they're going to get what they want.
They're going to get what they want.
As they should.
Yeah, I think yes, exactly. They're probably going to own this video if they wanted to.
I mean, I don't
Money
know how
talks,
much
Netflix.
Right.
I don't know how much longer
you owe me for that. I didn't watch it live, but that lag on that Tyson
Paul.
You owe everybody.
Watch it live.
You owe a lot of people for that one.
That was bullshit.
Can we talk about it a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I was hoping we were going to get into it later.
Yes.
Mike Tyson, the star of WrestleMania 14. We got to talk about
exactly.
And apparently 41.
Ooh.
Oh.
They apparently want to do Tyson versus Logan Paul at WrestleMania.
I did
say after the fight, he was like, "I'll take his brother next." No, I don't want to.
Listen.
Only if he wears the Rikishi fit to the ring.
Yeah.
That's the only way.
I would be more okay with it then. But still, no.
I have a hard time with Mike Tyson at times, and this is probably controversial because I know he's now become this beloved figure. People forget a lot about Mike Tyson's history.
Yeah, they do.
And listen. He did his time. Okay, he did his time, and I respect people. Whatever. If you do your time for the crime, you did your time for the crime. That's it.
People deserve a second chance.
People deserve a second chance. You move forward.
Get punished for your crime.
Exactly. I just have a hard time with certain people, especially in the media, that are okay looking past things of people that they love, but are not okay with much lesser things that other people may do or say specifically, that all of a sudden they're willing to completely erase this person from history. You probably have an idea who I'm talking about.
Are you talking about Kanye compared to Mike Tyson?
Yes.
Okay.
Because
I'm talking about Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. Well,
no, that's going to be the Mania 42 match, actually.
Main
event of both nights.
But another good example though. I'm just saying, if this person is has said some very terrible things, right? And you're willing to look past it because of, but he's this person, whatever. Yeah. But you're not willing to do it for somebody else. And then you have people who have actually done unspeakable things, and then you're willing to look past that and be like, he's my idol. I have problems with that.
Do you think
I just hate the phoniness
is because Tyson paid for the crime, though? I'm wondering.
Potentially.
I'm not saying that's
potentially.
a valid argument. I'm just saying,
but what about when no crimes have been committed?
No, that's a fair point. Absolutely.
So
I'm not saying it's justified for people to do that to Tyson. I'm just saying, do you think that's what it is? Because he did serve the time.
Yeah,
so.
I think in Tyson's case that could have something to do with it in theory, but I also think it's just because of not even just the pedestal he's been on, but you think of his career resurgence, and you think of the Hangovers, and you think of where he was, and the charisma of a Mike Tyson and all these different things. I think more so that. And being that also a lot of those things happen, those were in the early 90s.
Of course.
Accused of rape and did his jail time and all that was early 90s. So I think also a lot of people now don't even really know those things, right?
Well,
don't even know what went into it and have the context and only see the lovable version of Mike Tyson, and will read something on paper, but it won't resonate with them because they either weren't around at the time or didn't do enough of the due diligence to know what was happening. Similar and they talked about this in the Vince doc a little bit. I remember Stephanie saying, we brought Tyson back. That was before he went to jail, right? And no, it was after.
Yeah.
Right? That was part of him rehabbing his image and specifically going to WWE, and Vince being okay, perfect. I'm going to capitalize on this because it works for us too. Right. So I think in Tyson's case, it's probably a bit of an outlier just because he's so fucking polarizing in all aspects. But I absolutely understand what you're saying.
Well,
I think a perfect example or comparative for completely different crime though, Mike Vick.
Yeah, Michael Vick.
People love him now because he went to jail and he served his time.
And I'm all for that. And I said that because that's my thinking on it. I hate the people that pretend that it's not theirs. I don't pick and choose. If I don't like somebody, it's probably just because I don't like their personality or their music, or and I'm not anything personal against them. I just am not a fan of them. If somebody says something offensive, again, it's words. Like I'm like, okay, yeah, I just don't fuck with you, but I'm not gonna go on this whole crusade to try to bury you and end your life and your career and do all these things. Like we've seen in some parts of pop culture. It's not even just a Kanye thing.
No, it's
just society as a whole. But Dave
Chappelle.
And Dave Chappelle's spoken about it countless times. And maybe that's why him and some name redacted, well, not even name redacted, Kanye, they're so close. I just have a really hard time with people that are willing to look past things that certain people who have done their time and have whatever, but they're not willing to do it for other people who didn't even do half of what that person did. That's like just pick a side. Okay.
So you do kind of agree with me that it is because Tyson did the time, but they won't admit that. They're not saying
it's not so much like if you were to bring it up with some people, they'd be like, yeah, but that was however many years ago he did this and that. And I'm like, okay, that's fine, but we know exactly what happened there. Whereas like you take something that somebody says or said 25 years ago, and now they hold it against them for the rest of their life because they don't like that person or it offended them personally.
Right.
That to me just means you are a fucking phony and you're not a real person. Like you can't, or just straight up say, I don't like this person. That's why I'm holding this against them. Yeah. Don't sit here and pretend it's because, well, no, it's just bullshit. And I'm sorry, this was a thought that's been on my mind for this whole media, for the Mike Tyson and the Jake Paul fight, because I fuck with Mike Tyson and I know that he has become a different person and he, I respect the shit out of the shape that he got in at the age that he's in. I fuck with him and I'm a fan of him. I'm also aware of his past, but I also think that he's done his time for that. Right. You know what I mean? And he's been able to move on. Somebody like O.J. Simpson, right? Like the society fucked with him afterwards, and he had a ton of followers and people that liked him still after that. But he didn't pay the time for that crime.
No, absolutely.
And even
he
when
was
it
also
happened,
very split though. There were a lot of people that
when it
never
happened, like when the verdict came down, half the people were in the streets cheering, while the other half were in the streets rioting for a sense because of he was OJ at the time. Yeah, he was so polarizing, and everyone loved OJ.
OJ is the perfect mix of Tyson and Kanye.
Yeah,
like sort of. He was both really.
Yeah, they're mentally unstable.
As in the outside world view of him.
Right, yeah, where it's just kind of polarizing.
But even I think similar to Kanye in a sense of like the way OJ viewed himself sometimes wasn't always like it was through a different lens, right? It was like, well, OJ, like how are you coming to that conclusion? Like where you grew up and how you lived and all these different things, like, it was like that doesn't really make sense. But in his own mind, in his own body, and in his lived experience, he was like, no, this is who I am. This is how even though it didn't necessarily make sense to everyone else.
Well, as Jay-Z says, I'm not black, I'm OJ.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, exactly.
Like, okay. Like, no, what the hell?
However, let's also not forget, OJ wrote a book called If I Did It.
If I Did It.
Here's how I did it.
And I do love that.
It also, the if is small and then I did it is really big.
It's because the Goldmans did that.
Right.
So the Goldmans, obviously one of Nicole Brown Simpson, murdered the same night, whatever. His family, the rest of OJ's life was like, listen, we're gonna fucking ruin your life, and they did. So they took that book. They got every dollar for that book, and they made the cover look like that to make it seem like So they were the influence behind that. So,
but you know what? Good for them.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest.
No, 100%.
And then when he did that TV interview where he's like, allegedly, if I was to do this, it's like the fuck. Anyways, we got everything is pro wrestling. And shout out to Mike. Listen, don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm saying I can see Mike at this point in his life and his career for what it is and be okay with and move on from the shit that happened 30 years ago because he did the time. I don't like the people that pretend that it's okay for that, right? For this person to move forward and do all that stuff, and then it's not okay for some others.
Yeah.
That's all.
I agree.
That's all I'm saying.
If it's okay for one, it's okay for everybody.
Just
I agree. Or if
draw
it's
the line.
Not okay for one, it's not okay for everybody.
Or just come out and say, listen, I do not fuck with this person anymore. I don't like them.
Yeah.
So I'm not even going to look past that, which I think is kind of where we all are with Hulk Hogan, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like he's become, all of a sudden now all the weird shit he's done for years, like after those tapes came out, you're kind of like, yeah, this dude is kind of just a dickhead.
Yeah, like it was. I think I saw a tweet today. It was like a photo of him with like a 1% or 3% or whatever those fucking neo Nazis or something.
Yeah,
and like the dude's throwing up the sign and Hogan's just living his best life. It's like, yeah, well, that's Hulk Hogan.
Yep,
like, that's just that's Hulk Hogan in 2024.
Yep,
show your ass like Mike Tyson.
Right, but don't do that.
But don't also do that.
Shout out to Rikishi,
especially not Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, Rikishi always showing his ass.
But back to the actual point. dude, Netflix needs to get their shit together.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
That was my first thought.
So fucking much.
Not only Raw, but they also have Christmas Day NFL.
Yeah.
So like they got to get this shit right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think it's the Cowboys, so you may want to lag.
Oh no, lag.
But like, yeah, they got to get their shit together. Is it not?
The Chiefs against somebody and then the Ravens
Texans
against somebody.
Yes, I know one of the games is at the Texans because Beyonce's.
You're welcome,
performing at
America.
halftime. Yes,
I don't think the Cowboys are playing Christmas Day.
They're playing Thanksgiving, and it's just
against the Giants.
That's
going to be the food coma game.
This might be the
Tommy
first.
DeVito
Yeah,
game.
it is.
We're hosting Thanksgiving here this year. First time in 40 years. Well, I'm not 40, but
I was gonna say,
I'm not 40. My aunt.
How are you that old when we first became friends?
No, I'm the youngest
You're
of.
a creep.
No. I'm
Billy
the
Madison
youngest.
over here.
Right?
Damn, I try to think of a Billy Madison song. I can't think of it right now. Anyways, that's not the point. The point is, I don't even know if I'm gonna have. And half of my family are Cowboys fans. We might just play. We might just play cards.
Yep.
We might just
put
play
it on
cards.
in the background and then do other stuff while it's on.
Sports betting has made being a fan of a miserable team a little bit
tolerable?
better. Yeah. And also, my dynasty football team is 11-0. I don't know if I said that yet.
No, I don't think that's come up.
Yep.
Surprised it took this long for you to mention
well, this shit happens. Yeah, so now we're moving forward. War games. We talked about the women's, and now I think we know the men's side.
I think we know what we're getting.
Also, can I just say, to backtrack a little bit about the women's, I was very upset about the men's, as you guys heard last week. I'm more pissed about the fucking women's.
I know.
Yeah.
What the fuck is this
Just
build?
threw it together.
Also, and I say I'm a huge fan of hers. Why is Candice LeRae there?
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Did I miss something that
No,
she just
but
all of a sudden is part
she's
of
just
that?
been doing this thing with Nia where she's been like, so Tiffany was gone a couple weeks ago,
Right.
and she stepped in for her to be Nia's tag partner, and then now she's just fucking.
But even that was
stuck
just
at
like a
Nia's
one-off,
hip.
wasn't
And that's
it?
what I thought.
That right,
But I
like-
guess now it's a thing where she's there. But then even that, it's like Tiffany wanted to strangle her a week ago, but now they were cool the other day. Yeah, it's just not. They're just throwing it together.
This very much felt like they're like, oh, Survivor Series is in 2
feel
weeks.
the same
oh,
way
shit,
about the
we don't
men.
have a women's
I
war
feel
game.
the same way about the men's.
Yeah, I do too.
Like for me, the men's is like you threw this together because this build, and we've talked about it. It's like this could have been done the right way. I feel like they pulled the trigger on it too late, and now they're just trying to plug holes. And Bronson and Seth seem to make the most sense because of their own animosity. But I think there's so many other ways, and we talked a little bit about it last week, where this could have made sense and actually continue the actual storyline and not just threw pieces in there to just fill a team.
This feels to me, War Games now feels like what Triple H didn't want Hell in a Cell to
Yeah.
be. Where
Yeah.
it's like, it's November. Fuck, let's
We
get
gotta
20
do it.
people to
Yeah.
put a War Games.
Yeah.
What
Two War
Survivor
Games matches
Series
together.
became. I mean,
Exactly.
Survivor Series has sucked for a long time.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
Like when they changed it to War Games, it was supposed to add a little more flair to it, right? Now you got all of the action.
At this year with these feuds, I'd rather they go back to the traditional elimination matches.
Yeah.
Because, like, I think to be a
But
war
those were
game-
always thrown together, at least the
those-
last like
100%
10,
those were.
15 years.
But, like, those don't need some, like, big story where it's like the only way this could end is inside 2 fucking cages.
Yeah.
right,
Like,
yeah.
No,
That's my
yeah,
big
and that was the
thing.
thing. Like I was watching back actually a couple like Survivor Series, and yeah, those teams were like fucking just random as hell.
Yeah.
It was like basically these 5 heels, these 5 faces, no connection anywhere. We're just gonna throw them in there,
Yeah.
right? Like even wasn't that his first match?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rocky's first
Yeah.
match was
Yep.
a Survivor
Undertaker
Series,
too,
and
wasn't it?
He ended up winning the whole damn
yeah, it was.
thing.
Undertaker's first match was Survivor
Yeah,
Series.
and like he had no
In the
business
Survivor Series
really
match. Yeah.
being in the match because he had no connection to anyone else. It
Right.
was just to build him up to the star, and it worked. But like 99% of those matches was like, all right, you're a face, you're a heel, 5 of you, go at it.
They
Yeah.
literally, like, leaned into that in one year where they called it the wild card match, where it was just like, here's 5 guys, here's
Yeah.
5 guys.
Hey.
We needed 10 people for this
Shuffle
match.
the deck, pal.
But at
Exactly.
least if that's what it is, that's what it is.
Right.
Where like this is you're trying to sell me
Exactly,
something that
yeah.
it's not.
Right.
Like you're trying to give me like this is continuing the bloodline story and it's so integral and this
Right.
was supposed to be this big, literally like the first time we're seeing full bloodline OG and bloodline 2.0 across the ring from one another doing it the right way and it just doesn't feel right.
And now you got Bronson Reed in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Big Bronson Reed, which I know is that match still going on?
Yeah.
Oh my God, 1-on-1. Who is it? Farouk and Jim Ross?
Farouk won.
Oh, Farouk. Farouk is your Royal Rumble winner. We didn't talk about that.
No.
No Mercy's on in the background, as we mentioned.
We also changed it so it would go by quicker, and it went by much quicker
was-
this
Yeah,
time.
really
28 people Rumble.
But I
this
also
time.
mean, like, we did the count-out rule
Oh,
and
yeah,
everything,
yeah,
so, like,
yeah,
it made
so
it
they-
much quicker.
Shout out
Yeah.
to Ron Simmons, man.
Yeah.
Farouk.
All-American nose tackle at Florida State.
Yeah.
First ever black WCW world champion.
Yep.
Shout out to that man. Hell of a
Also,
career.
apparently, almost part of the Hurt Business.
Really?
Oh, man.
MVP told this story that during the lockdown, Vince wanted to turn the Hurt Business into the new, like, Nation 2.0.
Of course he did.
And MVP was like, no, fuck that. And
Was
he was like, no,
Ahmed
we're going to
Johnson
bring in,
coming back
they were going to
too?
bring in Mark Henry and Ron Simmons were the two they were going to put
How
in.
did?
God.
Why
At
is
least
it?
Mark Henry was like around and semi-active, but
I think Ron was like a producer at that point.
There's like this glitch in Vince's brain where it's like Black Stable, Nation of Domination.
Exactly.
Bring it back. Like it was like every time.
Well,
name my sex toys.
May tie back into the Jerry Jones conversation we had.
Well,
a lot of money,
that makes
certain
sense.
age.
Because Jerry Jones, similar to Vince McMahon, absolutely has a third brain.
Yes.
That is all about just some sick shit. 100%.
1,000%.
Yeah. It's just, that's crazy that was a thing.
And then MVP pushback is like, this isn't a race thing. This is just 4 dudes who are good friends that make money. It's like, that's what this is.
Yeah.
It's like the fact that we're all black.
And that was like,
and
I know MVP's been really vocal, not only about like the former regime, but also the current regime at WWE and how he felt like he wasn't going to be successful there. And that's why he had to leave. And Lashley and others need to follow suit because they felt like they weren't ever going to get a real opportunity other than being that cliche Black Stable, which is obviously not what they wanted. And to their credit, that's not what they're deserving. I mean, they're deserving of so much more.
Kind of see their point too when Lashley was just randomly thrown in with the Street Profits.
Yeah,
like that never made sense.
Yeah,
other than just the fact that it's 3 black guys.
Made no sense for him.
You know what,
Set
Lashley?
the Profits back fucking 2 years.
Yep.
And then also, let's throw B-Fab in too, because she's a black woman.
Yeah,
she has
black
nothing
women.
To do.
They all, exactly. It's just funny. And then, but then you think of the New Day and how initially when they were teasing the New Day, it was almost like it was gonna be Return of the Nation about how like we're being held back, this and that, and it's like, God, Vince, really.
Yeah, so weird. But shout out to the Hurt Syndicate. I thought they've crushed it so far in that
they've been
rollout.
great.
Also, I'm very glad you brought up the New Day. Did I have a fever dream? Weren't we supposed to get a New Day Appreciation Raw? Wasn't that supposed to happen already?
They hit 10?
I thought there was like a thing like 3 weeks ago where Adam Pearce is talking to Kofi. He's like, next week we're going to do New Day Appreciation on Raw.
And they just forget about
it. I actually felt like I heard Joe Test say it too.
Yeah.
I wonder I'm sure it was like this week was their 10-year anniversary.
I wonder how long these pre-taped
I was going to say the
Raws have been planned. If the pre-taped Raws were just kind of like, all right, fuck it, let's just pre-tape these Raws.
So
maybe that's what.
I know it's been the last few weeks that they've been doing, and they've been basically doubling up on shows.
And I don't remember if he said it on a pre-tape or if he said it on a live.
I thought he said it on a live. I thought it was before it went
pre-taped.
Could have been.
I don't. Yeah.
But no, you're 100% right. That was supposed to happen.
Like that's what I thought. I was like, did I fuck? Because then I'm seeing their segments, and I'm like, did I fever dream this? Weren't we supposed to have New Day Appreciation on Raw? Or they clearly were going to break up?
Confirm when the actual 10-year anniversary is.
I did see that recently. I maybe it was Big E. Again, it's my brain is not all there sometimes.
I get
talking about how they really hated their first
year
when they debuted. Yeah. Was that Big E that said that?
I think it was Big E.
And I remember that I watched the night they debuted in 2014. I was watching and I was like, "This is pathetic." They came out to negative pop.
Yeah.
Whatever the
November 28th is their debut, so it still hasn't happened yet. So we got some time. November 28th,
still coming.
But I swear they said the appreciation was going to be before that date.
Yeah.
But yeah, the anti-pop, and then they became the most over faction of all time.
Am I remember they started as almost like preachers, right? Am I remembering that?
Yeah.
The vignettes backstage were like them literally
like
at the pulpit.
It was like gospel music.
Yeah, they were preaching at the pulpit. Yep, 100%. That's what it was.
It was.
That's how the theme song came to be. That's very gospel.
It's a new day. Yes. Yeah. And all of a sudden, Big E was doing his preacher. Thankfully, they got to where they got because like I said, they become maybe top 3 most over factions of all time.
Absolutely.
Merch through the roof. Bootios. I got Bootios somewhere. I think it's still some stuff from my last house or at my mom's house. I got
they had
Bootios.
Great merch. They had everything. I mean,
it became one of the best parts of one of the worst periods of WWE.
Absolutely. For sure. And then I'll never forget. I was at Mania 33. In Orlando when they came in and introduced the Hardy Boys.
When everyone thought it was going to be them too, when they were like teasing
that
it.
Pop was also sick.
Insane.
The pop was so good because of the way they announced it.
Yeah.
How they popped themselves on the ramp was so good.
Yeah, it was insane.
I also remember finding that extra insane because if I remember correctly, that was a ladder match for the tag titles. And the night before, they wrestled in a ladder match for the Ring of Honor tag titles. And I'm like, goddamn, back-to-back ladder matches for these dudes at their ages?
Yeah.
I know.
They're already in their 40s at that point.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Well, checks out considering
they're still going. More about them, you're like, oh, okay, that's actually tame for them.
Yeah. When will it end? Nobody knows. So yeah, War Games match. Now we know that we got Big Bronson Reed on one side with the Bloodline Timu Bloodline, and then you have Seth presumably.
Yeah.
Not confirmed, right?
I'm waiting to hear him actually verbalize it. I'm assuming we'll see it next week.
It's going to be annoying because he keeps fucking saying no.
I know.
Yeah.
And even this week, like, Bronson was already on the team. He's like, as much as I want to get my hands on Bronson in a cage, it's still no.
Yep.
And it's going to be like, all right, then why are you going to change your mind, boo? I bet they don't tell us why. He's just going to change his mind.
I've changed my mind from a week ago. This was like the scenario that I wanted the least.
Yeah.
So now, last week I was very pro storyline and how they've been doing it. I did not like SmackDown. I did not like Raw with this. I think now the other shit doesn't make much sense because it's like, okay, if your point was to put together this team of guys to take down, because it's like family, right? You do weird shit for your family, like I said last week. Seth Rollins, I mean, him helping out, I don't get his connection. He never really, I mean, I know him and Roman had their history, but
they're brothers.
They haven't been good since, basically.
But that's the whole thing. It's like he's been on record as saying, like, no, he's the last guy I'll do anything for now. So, like, all of that history kind of goes out the window with him saying that.
Let's also not forget, Seth's like the big reason Roman's not the champion.
Right, exactly.
Yep. Like, he's the main one.
That's all super recent history, whereas, like, Sammy's affiliation with the Bloodline, they didn't have as much history, and they don't, like, it didn't really cost him too much. I mean, he got tormented for a while, but it didn't really cost him too much. So I could see him wanting to go back to that.
My biggest thing with Sammy was, like, if you look at his whole 2023, his whole motivation was, I'm going to destroy the Bloodline.
Yeah. Yes.
And then, without any explanation, he's now just back on Team Bloodline.
No.
Like, that's the thing. Like, his character really changed with no reasoning
to me,
behind
it made sense because Seth had no affiliation with the Bloodline at all.
I agree. Seth doesn't.
That was.
Sammy makes more sense than Seth, 1,000%. But I'm 100%. Just saying I don't like Sammy his character without explaining why his character flipped. Yes. Is my thing.
Why am I drawing a blank?
I don't like Sammy in this because I was just hoping that they would have deviated and just like legit family. But like Sammy compared to Seth is like night and day.
Exactly,
night and day in terms of what makes sense and what fits.
Yeah. So
I mean, really, the fifth member that honestly makes the most sense is The Rock.
Yeah.
Like, it won't be him, obviously, but, like, that would work perfectly for even the original
now with Bronson
Bloodline.
Reed there, I mean, I don't see
I'm saying even for the original Bloodline team, it could still be The Rock.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it probably will be.
Unless
The Rock and Roman have, as far as we know, on camera, they haven't turned on each other yet.
We haven't seen any
They're still technically on terms.
Yep. Now, hear me out, okay? We're going to play a little fantasy booking here.
That's what we do best.
We love to do it. So, let's just say we get confirmation from Seth, right, officially, and now they're locking in this war
It'll
games.
probably honestly happen this Friday.
That's what I'm thinking.
They've shown those two go at each other uncontrollably numerous times for the past month. What if they hurt each other? And now they have to replace them with two other people.
Well, that's what, and I said,
and then you get a surprise pop.
I don't think they make it to the match.
Yeah.
I don't think they do. I think it's one of the things where either before, like maybe one of them is the entrant coming down the ramp, and the other one comes and attacks them. I that's my thing. I don't think either of them make it to the ring, and I think that's where we see Paul Heyman. And I think that's where Paul Heyman comes back and obviously not the fifth man, but like he comes in as the fifth man and then he brings in that fifth man, whoever that may be, whether it's a CM Punk, whether it's a Brock Lesnar, whether it's fucking somehow Cody Rhodes or The Rock or whoever. I have a feeling that is, and maybe this is me being hopeful, like this is the saving grace of like these two never make it to the ring because this is another swerve they're giving us. I hope so. I really hope
that's what it is.
I hope so. Because it just doesn't make sense otherwise.
It feels like your typical Survivor Series match that we've had in the past where, like, it doesn't really make sense. You have maybe one feud in there and the rest are just guys you throw together.
And like
or just leave it 4v4.
That's what they should have done.
Just leave it 4 versus 4. Like, you've already changed and morphed from so many different things and got out of so many of these boxes of this is what it looks like traditionally. You could have easily made it 4-on-4. Nobody would have even questioned that. So, like, that's the point I don't get. But then also, like, this is the Bloodline. This is arguably the greatest storyline of all time. You can do whatever the fuck you want with these guys to make it make sense because the work rate of all of them, the star power of all of them, the charisma, the promos, they're going to make it work no matter what. So whatever you need to do to deviate from a traditional Survivor Series match, you can do with them. And I feel like they're not doing that, or at least not doing that up front. I'm really still hoping there's going to be a swerve here, but unless there is, it's hard for me to not be disappointed with how this has come together compared to what it could have been and what it should have been.
Yeah.
Is this like
because then the other thing is, like, if they take each other out, who's the surprise person
for Team
Bloodline?
Yep.
I don't know.
Like, that's the other thing. Like,
and that's the thing. Like,
Brock
we know,
Lesnar.
I feel like
we know there's more family members out there. But
It has to be a pop. It has to be a pop.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
Lance Anuai, no disrespect, that's not going to be pop. Buki Leo, not going to be pop. Even Zilla Fatu, who I would pop for, is not going to be the pop of like a... Even Jacob Fatu, in some of the lowest, when we saw him, some of them are like, okay.
The majority of the people that are going to be at War Games would be like, who?
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, you need that music needs to hit. It has to be somebody that they know.
Right.
CM Punk.
And the other problem, though, is if they both take each other out, and especially like night of, and then you do 2 surprise entrances, it's now hat on a hat. One pop's going to cancel out the other.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to diminish the pops.
That's true.
Just get 2 pops.
But like
double the pop, baby.
Yeah,
but like
we'll see.
Snap, crack,
and that was
pop.
something. The CM Punk thing was something that Kaz
returns.
mentioned this past week on the Ringer Pod. He mentioned like Heyman comes out, and Heyman brings Punk out, and Punk's like, yeah, I'm doing this for you, Paul, not for Roma or for anyone else, but because. And remember, the last time we saw Paul before he got destroyed, he was hugging CM Punk. I was like, take me with you. So like, they obviously, and we know it's Punk, so you don't even need a storyline for Heyman to bring Punk back. Similar to Lesnar, it could be the same thing.
All right, technicaldifficulties.com is where we are sponsored by. It is something I created. Sorry about that for the camera cut there. AEW Full Gear goes down this Saturday night on pay-per-view. Flanabam, give us what the people are looking forward to this weekend.
I mean, you've got to figure the big one's got to be Moxley, Orange Cassidy. It's for the title. Moxley's got like the hottest storyline in AEW, arguably. Between that or the Hurt Syndicate, as we were talking about earlier. So I think that's going to be hopefully good. Moxley matches are hit or miss lately. I know. Orange Cassidy's really good, so I feel like there's a good chance that will actually be a really good match. But I think that's more going to be story. Honestly, my biggest hope for that, because I think obviously Moxley's probably going to win, is hopefully we get something big storyline wise from the Death Riders going forward.
Yes. Do you think we get a clean finish?
Probably not.
I can't. Sadly, there's no way I can imagine a clean finish in this one.
Right.
And I think that sucks because I think Cassidy and Mox obviously can put on a really good match and will. And this one is probably deserving of a clean finish, regardless of who wins. And I do think Mox probably keeps the belt. I don't think he's going to drop it to Cassidy this quickly after getting it off of Danielson. But yeah, I hope there's some more development because I am a little worried that things may be starting to get a little stale with the Night Riders. Now, it's not even stale, but just redundant. You know what's going to happen week to week.
Yeah.
And I get that. That's part of the gimmick. But like last week, for instance, they talked about we're taking over the Superstation. And they came out and they just did the same thing they do every week.
Yes.
So I'm getting a little worried that people might be kind of turning a blind eye and a deaf ear to Mox and what he's saying every week.
Yeah.
I like what he's saying and the whole premise of this I really enjoy, but I worry that they're just gonna ride it out a little too long until the Bucks and Omega come back to save the day.
Right. Although I still think this is leading to Darby Allin finally being the guy for AEW.
Well,
he's going to be their
talk, exactly. And he's been everywhere more and more, and it's like it seems inevitable.
Yeah.
Which good for him. He's doing all the work.
And really, him and Moxley is what started this whole Mox World Order storyline.
He took the title shot from Darby.
Exactly.
100%. Yeah, I think so. I'm excited. I think Mox wins, but I really do hope they take this opportunity to push the storyline, whether it is some new faces being involved, and I doubt on the Knight Rider side, but on the AEW side, whether it's somebody else who
or maybe it is. Maybe there's somebody. Maybe
there is.
I know this was the speculation all along. Maybe this is where like a Shane McMahon shows up and we find out he was the one controlling the whole thing because it does feel like
now you're talking my language.
It very much feels like something was supposed to happen already and it fell through.
Yes. Yep.
Like that's kind of how that storyline has felt at the moment, where it was like, oh shit, this was supposed to happen. It can't happen now. Let's tread water so we can get the next thing to happen. Yeah.
And then kind of just not cool, but we've gotten the same thing. It's got a little redundant. I think
and also the fact that Moxley's promos back when this storyline started with this isn't your company anymore.
Your company anymore.
So like whose is it then?
Yeah, it very much alluded to like Scott Hall coming in and being that whole outsiders thing, and I think that was the premise. That's what we talked about. Is this the new NWO? And I think if it is, they better capitalize quickly because that was the one thing NWO did well is they brought in Scott, they brought in Kev, then they bought a little bit of time, but they built it up the right way until obviously the third man and that the greatest fucking swerve in wrestling history. So if it's gonna live, and again, like thinking it's gonna be NW 2.0 is probably insane, and that's no fault of their own, but like it could still be a damn good storyline, and I think where we are with AEW right now, it's a great opportunity to do something really cool,
or even not being NWO 2.0, it could be their version of not even necessarily like the same storyline, but just like that whole launching pad to put them to the next thing.
Yep, I agree. Yeah. So that's the big one. Another one I'm excited to see, and I'm really looking forward to, kind of a grudge match between two friends, Kyle Fletcher, Will Ospreay. Yeah. It's been building. I want to give Kyle Fletcher some props because He did a promo a couple weeks ago, which was arguably the hardest promo I've had to sit through in my life because the man just was out there and he was just rambling, and Don Callis was trying to pull him back in. You can just tell he was in the moment and was going.
Yeah.
But you could see the passion. You could see how much it meant to him. You could see how much he's wrapped into this, literally being kind of in the shadow of Will Ospreay in the Aussie Empire and all of those things. He's put on like fucking 80 pounds in like 2 weeks, it seems like. He's insanely jacked. His promos have been good the last few weeks. Literally him standing eye to eye with Ospreay is like intimidating how much bigger and stronger he looks. So I'm excited to see what that looks like. Will back with a little bit of a different look, grew the hair out a little bit. So I think they're going to put on an absolute fucking banger. They have chemistry in the ring, obviously as tag partners and also opponents in the past. So I think that one has the ability to steal the show and every Ospreay match be the match of the night.
Right, absolutely. That's more than likely. If I had to put money on a match to be match of the night going into it, it's going to be that one. I do really like Kyle Fletcher's new character. It reminds me a lot of almost Pillman-esque.
Yes.
It's very like Brian Pillman-esque right now.
No, he's done well. I think that one's going to be a good one. And then obviously all the different pieces in that with the Callis family and who Ospreay has. Like, I think that could be also some chaos. But I think as long as they let the match go clean, even if the finish is a bit of a false finish or some bullshit, let them get their work in. Let them give a good 15, 20 minutes because they're capable and they obviously can
it's a Will Ospreay match. Tony Khan's going to give him like 45 if he wants.
It. That's fine. That's fine with me.
100%. I agree.
I will take a late night for the boys.
Yeah. I mean, it's an AEW pay-per-view, so it's going to be a late night.
It's true, yeah. It always
Thank God it's a Saturday at least.
Can't be any later than the UFC's.
I know. I can't make
Hopefully it also
those.
doesn't buffer like Netflix had with Tyson. Because that also went. The main event of that didn't start till midnight.
Oh yeah, it was brutal. It was fucking brutal.
Yeah, that was brutal.
This is on record. Amanda Serrano robbed again for a second time.
100%.
Katie Taylor has now robbed her twice.
Goddamn, what a fight that was.
Her head's. It was a fucking war.
Thank God.
A war.
Yeah, it was one good fight.
Saved the whole thing.
The one before that was really good too. The Barrios Ramos fight. That was a really good fight too.
But yeah, no, Serrano.
The main event sucked ass. Sucked Mike Tyson's ass.
That was wild.
Hey now. Shout out to women.
Shout out.
I think a couple other matches too quickly. Obviously, Mercedes and Chris Statlander.
Yeah.
I could be crazy. Could Statlander win the belt Saturday?
I don't think so.
For some reason, I feel like it could happen. I think it could happen because Camille.
So that's why I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay.
I think they're building to Camille turning on Mercedes, and that's where Camille.
Maybe this Saturday's a little too soon. But I can see that happening soon, where the Camille is the culprit, and that's how the belt changes.
I could see them building for that towards like Revolution.
Yeah,
they seem to like to make Revolution like their second. Now that All In's a thing, they like to make Revolution like their second biggest show, and I could see that being
that makes sense.
Where Mercedes drops it to Camille.
Yeah, no, I can see it. I think that'll be a good match though. Statlander is a fucking powerhouse. She put both of them through a wall the other day, so like that was fun.
Statlander is incredibly underrated.
No,
she doesn't get the respect she deserves.
She is, yeah.
And then, of course, the four-way tag team championship match. We talked to Anthony Bowens today also, so that will be up on our YouTube, or probably already is up on YouTube by the time you're watching this. Great interview. He was literally at the arena for Dynamite when Flanny and I talked to him. He's excited. Brushed off any questions that may be of the relationship between him and Max. So, I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see if the tea leaves, as Flanny likes to call them, is going to come into play in this match, and if it's going to hold them back from winning back the gold.
Going to be interesting. I think you got the Outrunners, you got them, you got Private Party, and then I forget what they're calling themselves, Malachi and Brody. It's
are they still House of Black?
No,
the Kings of the Black Throne.
Kings of the Black Throne is just the two of them, but then
House of Black,
and then it's House of Black, which is confusing to me.
Right,
but whatever.
And then there's Julia Hart as well when she comes back.
Yes, so and it looks like she teased a really crazy vignette.
Yeah,
last
I really
week
liked that
with some blood. It looked really cool. So yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Outrunners, hot as can be.
Yeah.
Qualified in Providence just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Obviously, Private Party stock is about as high as it can get. And then Brody and Malachi have just been on an absolute fucking tear and just scare the shit out of me.
Right.
Like, those are two people like just shoot wise. Like, I don't want to be anywhere next to the two of them. They scare the shit out of me. And then the Acclaimed.
Based on the internet, Malachi's leaving.
Yeah,
that's been the rumor going around for like a year and a half.
I was going to say for
forever. Since he fucking
pretty
left.
much,
yeah.
And don't get me wrong, there's been some times, this actual moment right now isn't one. His match with Adam Cole
where they hugged at the end and everything
was really good, but also it had me wondering. There's been times in the last couple of years where I'm like, yo, by all means go back, because they're not doing anything with you. But the three of them together, man, they look the part. They can work their ass off. They're charismatic and can give a promo, even if it's not a lot of talking. Like, you could push the shit out of all of them.
Oh, absolutely. If I mean, let's be honest. Ospreay Fletcher's probably going to be match tonight.
Yeah.
But if it is going to be another match, I can see it being that tag title match.
Yeah,
those 4 teams are incredible.
Yeah, there's going to be some great spots in that for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Private Party's going to win, right? Like they just put the titles on them.
That's what I'm thinking. I have a hard time thinking
if they took them off.
It would be a shame.
2 weeks later. I mean,
especially
it was only like
the way they won it was so cool.
Where they had to put the team on the line and everything. Like, if you took it away from them now, it just feels like
that was also funny because I think that was the first time that I forget his name, Mark Quinn and
Isaiah Cassidy.
Sorry. When Isaiah, I think that was the first time he ever bladed himself in that match.
Yeah, I think
because it was like a couple scrapes.
Yeah.
And you could tell he was not
nervous
comfortable.
about
And you could tell he was like, fuck, I'm going to fucking be gushing. Yep. And it was like one line, and then within 5 seconds, it completely dried up and looked like a scrape. Yeah. And I thought it was so funny.
Like you put marker on there.
It was so fucking funny because you knew what he was going for. Yeah. But I'm sure, obviously in that moment, like how many people like CM Punk can be under the table just jabbing themselves in the head? Like I wouldn't want to do that, so I give him all the credit, but it was so funny. Yeah. To see that it didn't turn out the way
it makes me think. I always remember in Dynamite Kid's book, he told a story about how
he knows how to blade.
Yes, that's what. Well, that's what I was getting to. He told a story about how Davey Boy Smith hated blading, so he would blade and then bleed over him, so it looked like it was his.
Oh
blood.
my god!
Yeah. So he would drip his blood onto the British Bulldog.
I don't like other people's blood. Man. I watch some of these UFC fights. I'm like, these people are just dripping their blood onto your mouth, and you're just like. You're just trying to work yourself out of it. Or
even if you're like the main event and every match before you was gushing blood everywhere all over you. If you got face down getting fucking pummeled in blood.
You're just on your feet.
Yeah.
You just got to walk on that.
I'm good, bro.
Yeah. And I am like an ill germaphobe, so like there's no way I could.
No,
I get it. I totally get it. Yeah, allegedly that's how Davey Boy Smith would get blood.
Hey,
Dynamite Kid would bleed over.
I do not blame you. But yeah, I think it should be a good pay-per-view. I hope so. I think they're positioned well to have a really good show and, again, try to get some good momentum and get things kind of a little bit. Again, I don't think they're in a lull, but I think they were kind of at that launching pad, and I don't think they've really taken off yet to where they could have or should have. I think putting the belts on Private Party is a great... Wow, that was a
Private Party.
Private Party.
Rhode Island.
Island, bro. That was a really good step.
Yes.
And even like the Bucks going away for a little bit. It's just good too, right? Like you get too much of some of these teams. No fault of their own, but it's just like, all right, go take a little break, get a little refresher, and come back.
Especially because like over the summer, especially the tag division AEW felt real stale. It's starting to feel fresh.
And for the longest time, the tag division was amazing. Like I loved the AEW.
That was the best part of their shows.
Maybe we'll get to see those two guys who are being held hostage by Tony Khan wrestle. That'd be nice. I don't know.
Tony Khan has to figure out what the hell the Jacksonville Jaguars are doing, all right? Because they're a whole freaking
That's
mess.
his dad.
But he's got like a high
he's got
a high
level.
Did you
not see him in the war room
with his neck brace on? But no, like his
anything.
actual title is like fucking chief football strategist or some crazy shit.
That's just a title so you can get a shit.
I know, but that motherfucker be in the room.
He's gonna fix him.
And like I'm pretty sure I've heard like coaches off the record be like, yeah, this fucking asshole's in all the rooms just spewing a bunch of bullshit.
I fully
maybe that is other writers in AEW, but I don't know. That's what was being said. I hope that's not the case, but.
It is going to be fun to watch this weekend and to see what the hell they do going into, next week being the PLE, the War Games for WWE. So we'll see if SmackDown is live this week in Raw next week. No, SmackDown live this week, not live next week, which would be interesting.
We don't know.
We don't know.
I'm assuming that because it's the day after the holiday.
But being the go-home show for the PLE is how do you not do it live?
They pre-taped the one for Crown Jewel.
Crown Jewel, though. I mean, it doesn't
I'm just
have
saying
the
they
same
have
cachet.
Pre-taped. It's also on Black Friday. Like, how many people are going to be watching SmackDown on Black Friday?
Me.
True.
I mean, I probably will as well. But I'm just saying, like, I think it's going to be lower ratings.
Probably not, but like now with the baby, I'll probably be home home in a turkey.
There's also a football game that day that I don't know what time that starts.
Because I also feel like the majority of what folks do on Black Friday is early in the day, right? Like people who go shopping and do those other things.
Have it off and they do other things at night and stuff.
Yeah, I'll be watching.
Exactly.
Hopefully, that would be my ideal Friday. Next Friday, which is
absolutely. Yeah.
So hopefully that is the case. But
either way, we're running out of space here. Make sure you like, share, subscribe as you always do. Check out our interview with Anthony Bowens. It is up now. I will have it up by the time I post this. So yes, it is up now. Make sure you share with your friends. We got some more fun stuff planned for the next few weeks.
Follow the Instagram as well.
Follow the Instagram at EIPW Podcast. We are also on X under the same name. We share all of our content there. We're going to be doing exclusive videos for just those platforms. I did one earlier this week talking about Travis Scott. Flanabam is going to do a recap of Full Gear.
I'm going to start doing star ratings.
Yes.
I'm coming for you, Meltzer. I'm going to be the guy people start referring to.
Fuck yeah.
I give you like 2 weeks to do that. It's at this point, Meltzer is fucking.
Yeah.
This is the perfect time to capitalize.
That's my thing, right? I'm trying to jump in now. While,
Get him the
he's
fuck
at
out
his
of
lowest stock ever.
Yeah, he did some really whack
Don't
shit.
do stars though. Do like
China stars.
I know, but like they got to be
like
stars.
Slim Jims or something.
But like
we
that's
used to always fuck with Slim Jims, like 5 Slim Jims.
3 ninja stars. That's what we call them.
Oh,
But
ninja stars. That
But like it's
could
got to be
get
3
risky.
ninjas.
That's
I love
the
them
thing.
That could get very risky.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah,
Well, that's why I
say
first
that
said
too
China
fast.
stars.
Right. That's why I can't be the one that does that.
At least it's pre-taped.
Of the three of us, I'm the least one who can do that.
We got the same last name. What are you talking
That's
about?
true.
exactly.
Kayfabe cousins. Anybody? I was hoping that when I said that earlier in the Bones interview, I was hoping he was going to ask about like what the hell's a
Yeah.
Kayfabe cousins thing, so I can explain the dynamic.
He had a look. I forgot what Claudio. Claudio liked it. He dug it.
did,
We'll
yeah,
give
he did
him.
dig
You
that.
could see he was interested. He wanted to know more
You
about
want
the
to know
kayfabe
more
cousins.
about the Kayfabe cousins, but either way, friends, continue, follow, like, share, subscribe. Is going to be a lot of fun to finish up the year.
Yes, and let's go RIFC. Bring
Yes.
home the
Yeah.
whole fucking thing.
Let's
man.
go.
Eastern Conference champs, bring home the whole fucking thing. I like the silver trophy, but I'm a gold man myself.
same.
Let's bring home the gold cup this fucking Saturday. Let's go,
Hell
boys.
yeah.
hell to the
Let's go. Road Warriors. Never said that. Let's do it.
Bang. USL
Road
Championship
Warriors
final.
again. Everything is pro wrestling. Road
That's
Warriors. I mean, come on.
valid.
I
Come
made a
on.
reference on the broadcast last week.
Yeah, I did
Dig
it
it.
too. When
Yes.
they posted it, because I did the hashtag Road Warriors, and USL stole it and ran with it.
Yep.
So then I posted it, and literally it was like, what a rush. Hashtag Road Warriors. Like, come on. Everything
Yeah.
is pro wrestling.
We need to
folks.
get them in. We need to Photoshop them in RIFC colors.
Yes.
So
Shoulder
somebody-
pads.
That's
Oh,
sick.
fuck
Somebody
yeah.
figure that out. I might be able to, but we'll test it out.
I will buy shoulder pads and fucking color them.
Hell yeah.
Just to wear them on the pod.
That would be kind of
I'm
lit.
down. Fucking
That'd
down.
be sick.
It's only my favorite tag team of all time, so I'm all the way in.
That's
I'm all
respectable.
the way in.
We'll see you back here next week for episode 31. Peace.